What is up, game changers? Soul path warriors. I have something very important I want to talk to you about today. If you're ascending, if you want to ascend, if you're riding the path to new earth, if you're having an awakening journey, which a lot of people are, this video is for you. It's very, very, very important. Okay, it's one of the most important videos you'll ever see. Because what is the difference between our normal life path to a soul path? What is the difference between our normal life path to a heart path? What is the difference between letting the matrix guide us to letting God guide us, right? How does the shadow work? Well, I'm going to tell you today. Something very important that took me a long time to understand myself while I was on my journey. Because if we're on an awakening journey, we don't often see what is happening to us or why. It just is happening, right? When we're in our soul path, we don't often understand what is happening and why. But the choice is ours to continue that path. The choice is ours to allow spirit to guide us or to allow something else to be guiding us, right? Our karma or our things of that nature. So I'm going to share something with you in just a moment that is very important to understanding parts of our soul path, parts of the way the shadow works. Before I get into that, my name is Master Juniper Blue Mystique. What up, what up? I am an Ascension Master, a Master Healer, and a Divine Guide. Had a Kundalini Awakening in 2019, and my whole world changed. Wasn't anything I even knew what that was. It just happened to me, happened through me. And excuse me, stuff got real, right? So today, you guys, is a full moon as well. So bear with me. I want you to watch something really quick that kind of explains a little bit of what I do in my creative flow workshops, because it's a part of our soul path. It's a part of understanding one path to the other. It's a part of allowing things to unfold that we may not understand why or what it is, right? And that's, I feel like, the hardest part to why some people struggle following their soul path over something we're familiar with. Because coming out of the matrix is where we're coming out of something that we know. We're used to it. We know. We understand it. And then the soul path oftentimes is something we have no idea what the hell we're doing, right? Like, what am I doing? So today I start a 3-day workshop event. Today is a full moon. So Spirit said to do this one today, tomorrow, and on the 13th. It's a 3-day event. Oftentimes I do these creative flow releasing workshops. Those came through me just as much as the Return of Christ work was. Okay, so when they would say, do a pyramid, or let's go to Fiji, I'm like, I don't know why. We just did it, and then I activated a pyramid. So they said, do these creative flows. I didn't know why. I just did it. And the significance of them is absolutely helping us align to our soul path. Because in the new earth, we must be heart-centered. We must be aligned with our passion. And we can't see that until we heal the shadow. You cannot see past the shadow until you heal it. This is one of the most difficult parts of an awakening journey. This is where I believe people truly struggle and allow themselves to give their power to the shadow, because we can't see past the shadow. You cannot see the totality of who you are until your heart is pure. Okay? So check this video out really quick. Bear with me. Watch the whole thing. It's going to explain a little bit of things to you and a little bit of our soul path difference. And then I'm going to deep dive in further. Okay? So let's hear this. I just did this video for Facebook, but I felt like it was very important for you guys to know as well. So this is a little bit about why is our creative releasing so important? Why is it so important for us to get into our creative side for New Earth? That is a part of your heart-centered balance. No matter who you are, you have a creative side. Whether it's making music, drawing, writing, whatever that may be, you have a creative side, okay? And so that's what this is about. So I want you to hear this, because to get into New Earth, that's one of the things we have to unearth. We have to unbury our passion, okay? And that's why I do these workshops. Everything I do is to help you align to your soul path, and I do mean everything. And it takes every piece of the puzzle. So let's listen. Creative Flow June Healing Workshop Day 1. So today we're kicking off day 1 of a 3-day event. It will not be live, but I will be doing it here soon. And I wanted to show you guys something because, you don't have to be an artist to do the Creative Flow healing workshops that I do, but I'm going to talk to you about the importance of them because everything I do is about the ascension. It's about becoming soul path aligned. That's who I am. Master Juniper Blue Mystique. Had a Kundalini awakening in 2019, and from then on I started doing things to the earth like clearing Mount Shasta, activating pyramids, freeing Jesus' soul by processing his death and the truth of what happened. And you guys, I didn't know what I was doing the entire time of my journey until it was complete, because you can't see past the shadow. That's where the shadow gets us. That's where we hesitate, I believe, and give our power to the shadow quite often, and we don't always want to co-create with God because God asks us to do things that we can't see yet. But you can't see it until you heal it. That's the way. So once you go within and once you follow those nudges to choose love, to choose soul growth, and to rise each stage, then you awaken more and you awaken more, and your perspective shifts and your perception shifts and your knowing shifts because you're releasing the shadow. You can't see past the shadow. I've done so many healings on people and I'm like, do you know you can do this? Like, this is within you. You're this and you're that. And they don't see it. So they don't believe it. And the thing is they just gave their power to the shadow. People hesitate to my work because they can't see past the shadow. People can't see me undoing the Holy Grail, even though it's right in front of our face. I did it live. It's right there, but people still can't see because they can't see past the shadow. It's not until you heal that, then you're like, whoa, because God is truly vast. So let's listen. And to, you name it, I've done so many things during the ascension work. Workshops and courses, but everything is about healing ourselves back to the wholeness of our soul, back to our heart center, back to being whole, healing that shadow, releasing things. I did all these healings of the moon and the sun, not just for people, but for the actual earth and the planet systems, the moon, okay? So I did a lot of healings on the moon. So whenever I do these workshops, it's not just about us, it's about healing the earth, and then we rise into it through healing with the earth, right? But I want to show you some of my paintings because I used to love to draw, right? But I never painted, I never did any of that until my awakening. And I surely wasn't that good at it, but it wasn't about that. You see, to be in the new earth, we need to be heart-centered. And then we also need to be balanced from our heart center. Okay, creating from our passion center. And in order to get there, we have to trust spirit over the shadow because we can't see all things yet, right? That's co-creating. You have to co-create with spirit, not the shadow. So we're used to co-creating with the shadow. We're used to being duality. We're used to co-creating with the matrix. We can't do that anymore to rise. And in order to rise into your soul path and into the new earth, we have to co-create with spirit. And that means you're going to have to do something you don't see yet. You're going to have to trust in God and your own abilities beyond what meets the eye. And I feel like some people, it's almost like jumping off a cliff, right? Like, how can we trust that? We have to. It's about where you're giving your power away. So let's listen. So we follow those nudges, and even when we're not very good at it, we just keep doing it. So when I do these art healing workshops, these creative flows, they came through as I was doing the Return of Christ stuff to do. Little did I know that in getting the images that we get in them, you see, I do the healings, we do the upgrades to our central nerve, whatever the case may be at the time that goes with the ascension level. Our cerebral cortex. And then we get an image to paint or create. It's massive. We get a downloaded image to either paint or create. And the reason we do that is that way we can unblock our creative flow. So even if we're not an artist like a painter, we all have a creative flow. Okay, all of us, no matter what that is, writing books, drawing, healings, music. Okay, it all comes from the same space. Dude, even starting your own business is a creative flow. Like, you're an artist. Do you know in the medical professions system, whatever, I know I have degrees. I have even a medical background somewhat. more on the healer side than I did the actual book smarts. But every true doctor is going to tell you it's an art form. It's an art form. It's about being creative, okay? So in your own business, in your own soul path, whatever it is, we have to invoke the creative side of ourselves. It's not just about paintings, but let me tell you, let's listen.
Same brain functions, the same bodily connections, and things like that. So that's what I do. Okay? I truly unblock our creative flow. Have you ever heard of like artist block and stuff? Yeah. So not only do I do that, I upgrade it. Okay, so I want to talk to you. I want to show you a couple things
Truly
because
upgrade.
I've paid attention to how far I've come. As I said, I never used to be a painter. Okay, I'm going to show you a few of my pieces of art. First of all, before I did that, this was one of my first paintings back in 2019, 2020 that channeled through. Not quite in the workshops yet. Okay, you can see it was very cool. I loved the background. I was mind blown. As I started doing the workshops though, I think one of the very first ones I did the lotus flower. Just wait till you see these. Just bear with me. This flower channeled through to do.
The lotus flower ended up being something very important in the Return of Christ journey that I didn't know yet. Okay, that was the very first painting I did, or one of them. But it ended up being the 12-12 portal, the eye of the lotus into the eye of the sun, and the crest of God. Okay, as has to do with the lotus and the one. So every piece played an essential role in my soul path that I didn't see coming. It's almost like Spirit giving us more validations of who we are. It's like kind of like a psychic thing coming out. Like my whole entire path was mapped out through paintings a lot of times before the actual journey would occur. And somebody else even did a painting that way about it with clearing souls out of Mount Shasta and stuff, and that was painted by somebody else before I did the work. So every piece of my soul path came through before I did it. So a lot of times through our creative flows, through paintings, through it was another form of proof. And my mom's always like, you got to make a deck out of all of these paintings. So I'm like, well, I don't have enough yet, but when I do, because it's the entire Return of Christ path, even in painting form. So I'm telling you right now is you never know the importance and significance of one little piece of that nudge until you do it, until you allow it to unfold, until you trust the uncertainty, until you trust God and the heart path and your own soul. And then you allow it to unfold. And then when you come back, you're like, oh my God, the significance of it is massive. Okay? That's been my entire journey. Every little piece counts. Every little piece leads into the next and matters greatly. And you never know where it's going to take you. We think we do. We think we know more than the shadow. We think we can see all things, and you cannot. This little lotus flower seemed to be just a painting. It was not. Okay? The Eye of the Lotus workshop played out on this channel. It's in my Ascension Return of Christ playlist. It dealt with going into the Eye of the Sun, the solar flash event. I'm saying, okay, we never know. You never know the significance and how important every little step, how important every little piece of healing is. I know people who think they only needed like one healing and they're good to go. Y'all, we can't see past the shadow until it's healed. Then we can see. And that my whole path, I had no idea what I was doing. Activating pyramids, I had no idea what I was doing. God would just say, we're going to go to a workshop here. And I would go, and then I would do the work. And then afterwards we were like, we could see it, and something would prove it in the earth. And I was like, dude, I just did that. Like it was a lot to process. Processing Jesus's death. I did not know I was doing that. I thought I was only going to do a workshop healing for people. Then I processed his death. Didn't realize the significance of that. That's how my whole entire journey unfolded, because you can't see past the shadow. So it's about co-creating that little nudge, and pushing past that resistance is so important. Because that resistance will be loud when it's a soul path clearing, okay? You push past that resistance. It's going to come. You have to push past it. You have to be strong enough to do that. Choose that co-creative path, that heart path. Do the little thing and see how big and significant it just might end up being. And some little pieces you may not even understand for years. That's the way it happens. Okay, so let's listen.
I did that one. You see, it was very plain. I had no idea what I was doing yet. Spirit always guided me on what to do. I get the image and then they just tell me, do this, do this. So I do that. And I did that one very quickly.
Never about
Okay?
perfection.
Hang on now.
I'm going to tell you right now, I hear so many people go, I can't do this. I'm not an artist. Yes, you are. Something in you is an artist. It may not be a painter, but that's a way we release. Okay. And I sucked at first. But I never looked at myself that way. It's like, I hear lots of people going, "Ooh, you made a mistake." No, I didn't. I showed up, I tried, I spit out some gibbly-gock so that I can get better and I can self-master. There is no perfection. Perfection strives in judgment, and that's a lie. We always think we have to know. We always think we have to see. We always think we have to be this, or I have to be that, or I can't do this. It's a lie, okay? We all have the same potentiality, and we all have to heal. Some more than others, right? We all have healing to do. And so many people think that what I said is not significant, but it was so significant. They just couldn't see past that shadow. They didn't give themselves enough credit, which is why the shadow loves using low self-esteem in our wounds, because we will self-sabotage. So God says, hey, trust me, co-create, just do this and trust me. I got your back. That's why the path to righteousness was so crucial, because then it actually allows you to see a lot more. You can see your karma because we have to heal it to rise, okay? And part of healing that karma is choosing co-creation with God over the shadow, even when we can't see why or what we're doing or the significance of it. You cannot see past the shadow until the shadow is healed. That's so important because that's what gets most people. They think they see it all. They think they know it all. They judge things, and it's a lie. Judgment's not of God, and neither is perfection. Perfection is a part of judgment. It's about self-mastery.
This one I got through right before. So these are important because you see we can't see at the shadow level. And so when we get the images, they're more important than you know. Okay, they align to our soul path more than you know. It's not just about being the artist. It's about going into your heart center and clearing out your soul path. Because in the new earth, we must be balanced from our heart center in our soul path and in our creative flow, whatever that may be. And so unblocking that, each layer is so important. That's what these are about, okay? So then I got one of these. This one was done, and I'm like, what is this? They looked Egyptian, right? That's what I got. Like, this was supposed to be an ankh, by the way, in the ear, not a cross. They're ankhs. You can see that one better. And I did this one rather quickly because that's how it channeled to do. I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what the world? It said it was time, okay? And I got a feeling it was about my twin flame, and there's a snake, and then there's a clock.
Now, I've told you about the significance of snakes. Every time I unite with my DM, it's about calling my power back, and the snakes come back, okay? Undoing the medical matrix. There's a reason there's 2 snakes on that pole with the wings. Yeah, that was undone as well. Adam and Eve, I had to process that gigantor snake chasing me and then throwing up a white rat, and it freaked me out for like 3 days. My very first journey right before I processed Jesus's death, and I met my twin flame, and we started actually physically dating. My first one, I puked up a snake out of my solar plexus. So it's all about power. Okay, the snake represented taking our power, and the poison apple represents the temptations that look good. Okay, so hear me. This is how the shadow works. It's going to present to you something that looks good. Okay, it's going to look good. It's going to look like you did it. It's going to look like you're good. It's going to be those illusions of grandeur. That's the poison apple. Then you bite that shiny red apple, and on the backside it was poison. And you realize now you're trapped. And you can't see past the shadow. So if you give your power to the shadow, you can no longer see the light at that level. That is not a maybe. We can't be duality. I know, because that's what I've undone. I've removed the darkness from the light. We cannot be both. So snakes represent your power. That's what they talked about, is taking your power through the temptations that look all shiny and red. They look like they're good. They look like they're great. They look like they're God, but it's an illusion. And the shadow loves illusions. It loves playing tricks on you. It loves for you not to be able to see clearly. That's why God says go inward and just trust the nudges I give you. Trust in me over the shadow. That's what clears your karma. not falling prey to illusions of grandeur, and choosing God over the shadow, choosing your soul path over the shadow. And it's not about seeing first, it's about trust, clearing, healing, and then you're like, boom. And then you're like, now I can see. So many people fell prey to resistance and illusions of grandeur. And we're so more afraid to give our power to ourselves and to God over the matrix. And that's what's going to leave a lot of people astray, is that poison apple. And giving their power away, snakes, to the shadow over God.
Melting, and this is the masculine and the feminine, and they look Egyptian, right? I didn't understand the totality of what that painting meant until like 2 weeks, a week later. A week later is when the Sekhmet portal came through, and I dried the Nile. I dried the Nile because I was aligned to it. I was aligned to the soul path. They said it was time. So this painting came through before I started releasing what that was.
And you can look at that painting and go, ugh, you know, like what the. But it was more significant for the journey, not exactly being some perfectionist artist, right?
Right after that, house too. Right after this one, I did a Sekhmet portal workshop in June, I think, of 23.
Check this out. You guys, watch this video. We're getting there, because in the end, like, I did something yesterday I've never been able to do, and it blew my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of myself and my art now. Dude, like, I don't just unblock us in these things. We really do upgrade, but we have to trust the path. We have to spit out the gobbledygook before we get to self-mastery. And each time we try is not a mistake. Each time we try is clearing out the yuck to get to the beauty. That's what it's all about.
We did that. So the painting channeled through.
And then you blow your mind.
About a week before, maybe 2. And then I did that workshop. And then shortly after that, Horus returned from the Sphinx. Now, when I dried the Nile, we just did a workshop like usual. And then Spirit took my feet and put it in water. And then I started processing all these things. And then the Nile turned blood red. And then it dried out. And then there was a crystal in the core of the earth that I changed back from darkness to light. And the darkness one spewed across the earth for a karmic play out.
And then the 13th gate opened, which is heaven on earth. And that's when I found out there's 13 gates, not 12. See, the matrix was a lie. It was a complete inversion, upside down illusion of a grandeur, a poison apple. Like, it looks so cherry and red and delicious, and then you bite into it and you're trapped, just like what happened to the cherub angels in the Sistine Chapel. Let's keep listening.
And I didn't realize the Nile at the time is our final portal. And that's when they told me there was 13 portals, not 12. And my DM, soul and mind started uniting again at that level. Then shortly after the Nile, Horus returned from the Sphinx. He rose. Now, on the very...
See, it's all about calling your power back, trusting in God over the shadow, being able to see God over the shadow. That's another thing why the path to righteousness was so important, because I awaken you, and then I align you to all your karmic paths so that you can choose love over the shadow. Each time you do that, you get your power back from the matrix. So it's about co-creating with Spirit, listening to the nudges beyond what we can see. We cannot see past the shadow. I had no idea what I was doing almost the entire time. And I remember Spirit even saying that, like, she doesn't even know what's happening. I had no idea. I had no idea what activating pyramids was. I had no idea what the Holy Grail was, or what the Nile truly was, or none of it. I was completely clueless. I showed up. I followed the path. I pushed past all resistance, all physical, spiritual, emotional attacks, the attack on my DM, the death of my twin soul and getting a walk-in. I pushed past all of it. No matter how difficult it was, no matter how tired I was, my heart became enlarged activating the pyramids. I used my light to do it. That's who I am. But we all have to see beyond the illusion. We all have to know that that poison apple is just that. It's poison. It's a temptation to keep you trapped, shackled, and bound. And you must call your power back, giving our power only to God and our heart center, to unconditional love only. That's God. God is in our heart space, okay? So it's never about judgment. Well, I'm not creative. I'm not this. How can I be a healer? I don't see it. You're not going to see any of it until you heal the shadow. You can't see past the shadow. Are we ever done healing? No, but in order to rise, you have to be in full power. Okay, you call all your soul fragments back because it's other lifetimes, not just this one. And we can't see those, can we? And I don't need to go backwards. I need to be in the here and the now to do it. Okay, so it's not about seeing. It's about trusting in God over the matrix, trusting in your soul path over the matrix, trusting that every piece that you're nudged to do, every piece that's laid out in front of you, knowing how God works, knowing how spirit works, and following that path, trusting it, believing in it, and only giving your power to God and yourself, not the shadow. That's the two paths, okay?
The first twin flame one that I did, I'm going to show you what that one was, and I didn't. That was the very first twin flame one that I did. You see? Like the masculine flower, the feminine flower, the two tornadoes, and clearing out the muck and coming together. Okay? So, and then this was another one about twin flame union and family coming together underneath the tree of life. So you see the progression. Wait till you see where I'm at now. So these would all come through before something major happened in my soul path. Like kind of like premonitions, but not exactly, because I was healing the way. So this one channeled through before I took us into 7D workshop. And it was a gift from the Pleiadians. It was a downloaded image, and I'm like, I don't know how to paint this. So you can see I started painting it a certain way, and I was like, Spirit, I can't do it. And then they gave me the image, and they showed me what to do, so I did it. And that's what came out. That was the 7D portal. It's actually a healing painting that will take you through, help you through the 7D portal. And it was downloaded as a gift from the Pleiadians. This one, right before I took us into the pyramid octavines and all of that, and I implemented the Nile, and before I undid the Sistine Chapel. This was before I undid the Sistine Chapel. I told you I've activated pyramids, I cleared Mount Shasta, and changes in tides will come in through San Francisco, okay? They've said that many times when I was clearing Mount Shasta, and this was done before I undid the Sistine Chapel, and when I undid the Sistine Chapel, there were a lot of souls trapped there, okay? Cherub angels were trapped there, and I didn't know that was coming. Okay, I've healed the sun and the moon, and so this was us actually going through and into that time portal, that time frame. But again, before the work came through, so it's really kind of cool. They had me channel one about my awakening journey.
So many people think, well, they don't understand it, they can't put meaning to it, so they don't believe it. And that's false. Okay, the shadow wants you blinded. That's what Mount Shasta was. It was what created the veil of illusion. I didn't know that. You know, just like, oh, Mount Shasta is spiritual, everybody goes there. No, it's not. And it wasn't. It was the veil of illusion. And that was the red dragon. And I didn't know that. I just trusted. I did every little piece, and I just was in awe of what was coming through. And as it would process through, I'd be mind blown, and I would just simply push past the resistance, choose love, choose God, choose my soul path, choose my heart, and do my work to remain in that high vibration. That's what I did the whole time. And even when it presented to me that my twin soul didn't love me, and even when everybody judged me, I chose not to believe that, and I kept going, and I kept choosing love, and I kept choosing love, and I do it to this day. That's what chooses and determines if you rise or if you don't.
This was kind of the things that I would do in my awakening journey during meditations and things. This one is the River of Justice.
And I don't know why my phone's been acting really weird. I didn't put anything on here. Hang on. I don't remember what I was going to say. Let's just keep going.
Yes, that is the Nile portal we will all cross. And in the workshop, I had to go to the River of Justice and process all the work through. And I got my key to the 13th gates. And they told me it was a River of Justice of silver and gold. It is very biblical. I didn't know that. So these paintings come through before, okay? Now
My paintings are biblical, you guys. My paintings are more significant than even I knew. I just did them without judging them, without judging God, without judging the path, without judging my soul path. And I would choose, is this love? Is this not love? Is this God, or is this a red apple? without even realize I was doing that. And I didn't know the journey. You know, everybody says Jesus was going to come out of the sky. So I was like, I'm like, what is happening? What is all this? What does this mean? And I didn't get answers all the time. It would just unfold. Are you willing to be blinded and let your journey unfold and follow those nudges the whole way? Can you push past resistance and choose love? Can you tell what the heart space is and what the matrix is? That determines where you go.
I'm going to show you. Hang on really quickly, because I want to show you, because I realized the progression that I was making as an artist, which I didn't even really focus in on that part, since the beginning of my creative flow workshops, okay?
Yeah, by the way, the first creative thing that came for me to do was make candles and soaps, not draw. I made healing wands that were very significant to my journey. Okay, that was some of the first things that I did. I channeled how to make healing wands. So I did that. And they actually were very, very important part of the journey. Very important and significant. And I've upgraded those to where they're less breakable because they had a purpose and they would serve it and then be done. They saved my life a couple times, but they were also parts filled with the pyramid energy when I was activating those. So I channeled how to make healing wands. Then it was like, you know, other things would channel through, and then spell casting. And so every layer I would unfold my soul path creative flow. Wasn't just about paintings. That was just helping me unblock my creative flow. But boy, those have upgraded. And then wait, because I'm creating a new deck of cards. Wait till you see how far my art also has upgraded and how far I've come. And I didn't even realize it until yesterday.
So this was the first deck I created that channeled through. It was stick figures, right? It was the first deck that channeled through as I was doing the return work, as I was connecting with my twin flame journey and all that kind of stuff, and it's messages from our loved ones and guides. This was the first deck, okay? Yeah, stick figures. I'm telling you, I couldn't draw a person. I couldn't draw very well. Now, keep in mind, my arm was also shattered during the Return of Christ work and my twin flame journey. I was attacked severely on many levels, so I didn't even know I'd be able to draw anymore at all, okay? Spirit did tons of healings. They said I would be able to. Wait till you see my latest one, okay? So this was my very first deck. Ooh, quite the artist, right? This was done back in 2020. Okay, and you see the progressions of my paintings, right? Like you can see the progressions of my paintings, okay? Not to mention the white dragon that they had me draw, I channeled through that too, right when the red dragon processed through. Undoing the red dragon, which was...
I argued with Spirit. They're like, draw a dragon. I said, I can't. I don't know how to draw a dragon. It seemed complex. I thought I needed a book. Just wait.
Doing Mount Shasta. And then they had me draw the white dragon, and I had no idea why or how. And I argued with Spirit. I'm like, I can't draw a dragon. And they were like, just do this. And I did. Let me show I'm showing you my progressions, because these creative flow workshops, you have no idea what you're capable of until you just show up for your soul path, okay? I never claimed to be an artist. I never said, hey, I'm going to be like this crazy badass artist. I didn't understand the significance of them on my journey either, okay? But it's not truly about just being... Each one of us has some form of artist within us, okay? This is true. But the crazy thing is if we follow our soul path, you never know why things happen. You never know where they're going to take you, unless you just simply show up and allow it to blow your mind. Okay? That's what I've done.
And the shadow will use everything against you. Trust me. Everything will seem impossible. They will make you so afraid. That's why they use all your weaknesses against you. You have to be in your power.
Crazy stuff's coming through. So I'm going to show you the white dragon that channeled through. And I argued with, just like this one, I'm like, I can't draw a portal. And they said, do this, and I did this, and that's what came through, and I was like, oh, it's one of my favorite ones. And it's truly a healing painting. You can purchase them, but I'm not sure people know that. This is also a healing painting for the Nile portal. Okay, it helps
Yeah,
you
I really don't talk about that often.
process undoing of the darkest portal, which was the Sistine Chapel. This one is a 7D portal, which is where we're going into. And then recently, Spirit said, draw a dragon. And I was like, but Spirit, I can't draw a dragon. I need to get a book. And I was like, I can draw something else in the meantime. And they said, just do this. So I did this. Then shortly after that, we processed the red dragon, undoing, which was Mount Shasta.
Mind you, I have OCD. I'm a diagnosed OCD. Like, OCD is not what people think it is. I get stuck. I like used to check my stove knobs 20 times in a row. My door locks. Like, I truly have OCD. Um, in art class, I took art class in high school because I used to draw roses. I love shading. You can see shading is my thing, right? But I couldn't draw people. I couldn't draw certain things. I just love to shade. And my teacher used to yell at me, like, hurry up and turn it in already. Like, we don't have time for this. You know, it's good, it's good. And I'm like, but it's not, it's never good. So I would struggle. So to surrender for me was pushing past all of that. It was trusting in the unknown. It's not always easy. And I feel like that's where people falter with the shadow. That's why people would rather give their power to the matrix and the shadow over God and themselves, is because they have to trust in themselves. They have to trust in the unknown. Because you're coming out of that illusion. We're coming out of that veil. And we have to trust that amazing things will occur. We have to trust that we are the creators of our reality. We have to be calling our power back. Okay? And so it's trusting in God over the shadow. And I feel like that's where people struggle, is because it's unknown. We can't see it.
So when I was octavizing the pyramids, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize the significance of this dragon. This is Algonquin. That's the name they gave me when I drew him. Never drew one before, did not know how to draw a dragon. And that's what channeled through. And then shortly after, they showed me it was the white dragon, as I was finalizing the undoing of the red dragon, and it blew my mind. Okay.
So right after that, I was octavizing the pyramids, and I had no idea the red dragon thing was going to come through again, and I was going to shove light through those pyramids, and Mount Shasta was going to go down. And I saw the San Andreas fault go boom, boom, and then boom, and then whoosh, again. And they said that was the prophecy of the red dragon. I defeated the red dragon. And right before they showed me that, I had to draw the white dragon, and I had no idea. I had no idea the significance of that when I did it. I was just like, they want me to draw a dragon, so I just try to always follow those nudges, not knowing the significance of them. And then when it's shown, I'm like, why can't people see that? You know, but it doesn't matter who sees it. I'm blown away. Like, I'm like, oh, it's very real. That's how I work as a psychic and as a healer. I don't want to know anything about you, because in the end, I open it up for questions, and I've never had anybody have a question of something that didn't come through. It always comes through when it's needed to. Like, we want to be in control where we can't see, but we don't know how to trust in things that are unseen anymore in God.
So again, I don't know how to draw spirit, and they're like, just do this. Just do this. You don't know the meaning, just do this. Oh, for the lotus flower. 12/12 portal of the lotus. This was, see, just do this. And look at that. I actually painted water. I've never been able to.
And right after that lotus painting, we did the 12/12 portal, where I took us into the eye of the lotus. And they said I was the crest of God. And I stood, it was like going into the center of the sun and the lotus combining. It was very important and significant to the return of Christ. A simple lotus flower. And it progressed. It was like unburying the gook, the muck, to get to the beauty. And that's what it's about. And it's about trusting God in that, trusting those nudges, and pushing past that resistance. Because there will be resistance. There will be temptations and addictions and fears and wounds that the shadow will try to use against you. I had to rise out of all of them. And my body is still trying to overcome and heal. I had to go, I can't, I'm still overcoming what I went through and what I pushed through and survived through Your journey will not be as massively attacking as mine, but if you think the shadow wants you to be in your power, you're wrong. It's going to fight you.
Before.
But God will
Another
always
Lotus
help you.
portal, okay?
If we ask.
After I did the Nile one, this was New Earth one. Look at that. Just do this. So I'm like, okay. And I don't know how. And I tell them, I don't know how. And they're like, just do this. So I just do this. I just try to spirit. But we also do the healings. So I unblock your creative flow. Now, final one. Remember when I showed you my full deck that I created? Messages from my loved ones and guides.
I'm on a total of my 4th deck now. So my 2nd deck, I did the Ascension portals. And then my 3rd deck was this one. And I'll show it to you really quick because you're about to see where I've come now with my art. So the upgrade happened before, like, I even realized. So in this deck, I channeled sigils. This is my 3rd deck. Guided ascending light healing. So this is New Earth sigils, okay, that I was channeling through. And so my art was upgrading here. I was like, ooh, look at this. Like, I'm drawing. It's not stick figures. It's getting better and better, right? Wait till you can see what I did now. Right? So this was my 3rd deck. I use it quite often on Facebook and stuff. And I was blowing myself away with this one. I'm like, look, I'm drawing things. It's not just 2D. Like, woohoo, you know, like I've tried and tried and tried and tried. So now look at the new deck.
Right, so my beautiful little stick figures. Well, I'm making another new deck. And look what I did yesterday.
I drew hands.
Just do this.
They're like, just
I was
do
like,
this.
oh my God. I've never been able to draw hands before.
I tried and tried, and I'm like, I can't get it. And my daughter's quite the artist, and I was like, Layla, I cannot draw hands. And she's like, I know, they're really hard. And so I looked at my hand. I just looked at it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to draw that. And I couldn't look at both hands and draw them, so I just looked at one hand, and that popped out. And I'm like,
never would I thought I could have. I went from this to this. Okay? So, the message of the story, the moral of the story is day 1 of the next June Creative Flow Workshop. I have multiple on my website.
Yes, so today starts that workshop. It's because it's a full moon. So this is an Ascension full moon healing. It starts today and it goes for today, tomorrow, and the 13th is what Spirit called for. And I don't know what's all going to come through it, but on the 13th, we get a new downloaded image to create and clear out more muck. It's about creative releasing so that we can further align with our talents, whatever that is. Even a business and being a healer is a talent. Okay, it's an art form. And so it's about unfurling our heart space and being aligned to that. So if you want to join the workshop, it's an Ascension healing. They're significant no matter what. And also on the flip side of that, the point of this video is how to hear past the shadow. The reason co-creation is crucial. You have to co-create with God and with your soul path, with your own power, and not giving your power away to the shadow. People want to be able to see. They want to see things. They want the logic over the emotions. But that's wrong. Okay? We need to be guided by our emotions, and we need to be uncompounding those emotions so that we can feel, and our senses are more active over the mind, and logic comes in. It does, right? It's never about just being crazy or illogical, but we've been out of balance from the heart to the mind. Okay, so in order to rise to new earth, we have to be trusting in God, our soul path, the nudges of the heart space, without seeing first. We have to trust that there's way more to us we don't see. Okay, and if I said something to any of those people that I worked with, it's their soul path. That's who I am. Okay, I will never take you away from your soul path. I was here to align you to your soul path. Some people chose the poison apple. There's nothing we can do. It's going to look all shiny and good, and you're going to take a bite and then realize now you're blinded to the light. We can't be duality anymore. Okay? So that's what they do, and they take your power away. That's what snakes represent. All right? It's true. The snake's about your power. And they use those temptations that look all shiny and great, but then on the other, the true side of it, it's poison. And they try to make it seem like they're easier than the soul path. It's much more easier to do this. And, they're like, oh, yay, the matrix is our friend. It's not. Okay? So we don't want to give our power to the matrix. We don't want to give our power to the shadow. We need to understand that we can't see past the shadow. That's why you have to co-create. You cannot see your karma. Not all of it. So it's so important to be able to co-create with spirit, to understand what is unconditional love and what is not, what is your power and what is not, what is a temptation and what is not, and to choose wisely in all that you do. Okay? So just like in everything I do, a simple creative flow workshop is really truly more in depth and mind-blowingly magnificent than we could ever know. Okay? Every piece of those nudges, no matter how simple, no matter how small it may seem, every choice, no matter how simple and small, was very large. And that's how we heal our karma, is choosing God and our power over the shadow, over fear, over temptations of money, greed, power, control. There's a difference between being in your power and taking power from others, or giving your power to the shadow. Okay? So you need to understand that we have to choose without being able to see the right path. The shadow is going to be like, yeah, I'm loud and I'm in your face and you can see me. And God's like, hey, I'm over here. Can you just listen to this nudge? And then once we listen to God, it gets louder and louder and the shadow gets more quieter. Okay? So that's the video for today. If you want to join the workshop, I encourage you to do so. Everything I do is your soul path. Everything I do is New Earth path. And every piece counts. So I'm excited for today's full moon workshop. But you guys need to understand that co-creating with the shadow will not allow you to rise. Every choice, no matter how small you think it was massive. Because we cannot see. So God said, healing your karma is done through choices hidden in disguise, because we can't see past the shadow until the shadow is healed. And we call our power back, we choose the light, then we can see that shadow. And in order to rise, you got to be in your full power, not giving it to the shadow. It's not about being done healing. We're never fully done healing. We're always healing, but so I hear people tell me, well, I just need more healing. No, you don't. You need to be able to, is your heart pure? Can you choose love over the shadow? Can you choose your soul path over judgment, over fear, over temptation? So much love, my friends. If you want to join the workshop, I'd love for you to do so. They will be on my website either way. So much love. Do you know your creative path? You never know your creative path. So mine started out one way and it takes you a whole bunch of ways. And to be in our heart path is a creative path no matter what your creativity is. And you never know what your creativity is until you allow it to unfold and you just follow those nudges and you're over here like, I didn't know I could do that. Look what I just did. I didn't know I could draw hands. I've never been able to draw hands. Ever, 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 ever. And I was trying and it wasn't working and I almost gave up. And then look what I did. Those are pretty damn good in my opinion. I'm like, oh, I was really proud of it. I'm like, oh. I'm proud of myself for trusting in God over the shadow and over everybody who judged me and left me dry. God never did. And I showed up for myself. I showed up for myself. And I pushed past all resistance. I didn't need to see first. I knew that I choose love. Your actions must match, not just words. So much love, my friends. That's how we rise out of the shadow. That's how we clear our karma, because your karma is truly created in choices we make outside of unconditional love, where we give our power to the shadow over God. That's why you have to reverse that and do things you may not understand and you may not see clearly at first. But when you actually step into those nudges, if God says or I say, hey, you're a healer, and they're like, no, I don't see that, it's because you had healing to do. I didn't know what I was doing when they're like, hey, heal this. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. And I would just show up and do it. And I was like, oh, do it. And then, by the way, I did a healing on myself recently because my body's still processing. Like, I'm sick as a dog and you wouldn't know it. My sinuses, I've told you guys about that a lot. Like, I'm always kind of been jacked up, but I didn't deal with my own health for a while because I was dealing with the ascension. I did a healing on myself and Spirit's like, you have this. And I'm like, okay, but I felt like I'm exhausted and it's really hard to heal yourself and I don't have anybody I can go to get a healing. So I did finally go to the doctor and had some tests done and they're like, you have this. And I was like, yep, thank you, Spirit. So it was doctor proved, the test proved what Spirit said I had. And my kids are like, Mom, Spirit's always right. My dog got severely injured recently. And, I was so busy healing other people and other people's dogs, I didn't do a lot on her. And I was like, I'm going to do a healing on her. And I did 3 healings. And within 3 days, she went from not being able to move, crying in pain, screaming in pain, to my kids watching this. We were all scared. And my son's like, oh, like if she really turns around miraculously, Mom, then I can't have any choice but to believe. And then she now acts like she's a little puppy again. And we're like, the healings work. And my kids are like, of course they do, Mom. So, can you trust? Or do you want to give your power to the shadow and not believe? It's up to you. So much love. Bye.